Hi, this is Cousin Russ. I want to show you why I like to use the web merge feature uh, in Family Tree Maker. And for this case, specifically the Ancestry.com hints for the Find a Grave index. Now, people will say indexes will get you somewhere. You can't use an index to write up a conclusion. So some people just don't deal with indexes, but let me show you why I like to use indexes. And this comes from experience that I had earlier in the day. And the experience caused me to take a road trip to 3 cemeteries. All were very helpful, and all because I followed a shaky leaf hint to an Ancestry.com hint to the Ancestry.com Find a Grave index. So this is the plan workspace, and I'm going to go to the people workspace. And this is the gentleman that I am interested in, and he's got a shaky leaf hint. In fact, he's got 4 hints. So I'm not going to follow that hint because I've already done the work, but I can demonstrate it without messing my database up. So I'm going to go to the web search workspace, and there is that hint. This is that index that I was talking about. And I want to point out what's on the screen. This is what Ancestry has picked up from Find a Grave. There's his name and date, and here's a cemetery. And here are links. And you can see, well, let me zoom in a little bit so maybe you can see that they are in fact links. You'll see that my cursor turns to a hand, which would indicate that it is a hyperlink. But I want to point out, and this is why I like this feature. You'll see the spouse name is Lizzie. Now, here's what I have in my database. I have Kate. I believe that Kate, the record so far says that his wife's name is Kate. But when I looked at Kate, and let me go to Kate, what I recognized in the 1910 census is that she had 1 child born and 1 child was still living. But if I look at my data, I see that they have 3 children. So when I saw that, use that 1910 census, I made a to-do item that said, and I'll bring it up here so you can see it and zoom in a little bit. Now, a to-do item says 1910 census, 1 child born and living, but there are 3 children in the household born after the marriage. So I said, so I already had my eyes open for something that wasn't right. And I've documented in my notes, my research log, and I have a couple of questions that I need to be resolved, one of which was that the fact that there's something wrong with the number of children. Again, that's Kate. Now I go to the web search. I have Harry or Harvey, but I have Lizzie. I'm remembering that. I'm going to recognize that going in. And as I've said before, with Find a Grave, I will do the Ancestry.com hints to their index first and handle a bunch of them. And then at a separate time, I will do records from the Find a Grave website. And I do that because I do different tasks and I want to be repetitive for a bunch of them, handle them, get rid of them. Then I can go back and do a number of Find a Grave, because what I do with the data, and I've recorded this before, is different between the two databases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a merge. I click merge, the names are the same. It's going to discard the name from the website. Birth, my preferred is about 1869, born in New Jersey. The Find a Grave website says 1867, does not say where he was born. So I'm going to bring that in as an alternative fact. His death was about 1942. And because I don't have a location over here, I'm going to let it discard this because that's the same information. If I took it, I would change 1942 to about 1942. So I already have it. It's my options are discard or make it an alternative, and I'm going to discard it. Now, because I've already done this merge, I'm still going to walk through everything but the final step. I know what cemetery he was born in, because buried in, because I had done the merge. The record is saying without the cemetery, and that's what happens in the web merge. It does not bring in the cemetery name. I'm going to bring it in as alternative fact, and I will clean it up after I've brought the data in. I click next. Elizabeth, and Elizabeth, they're the same person. I have no last name for Elizabeth. The website is saying it is Ort. I'm going to merge these two because it's the same person. I click next. Now I have my choices. I'm going to bring Ort in, her married name in as an alternative name, because I want to keep, I don't know what her birth surname is. The birth record says April 21st. It says April 21st. No location. I'm going to discard the entry coming in from Ancestry, but the citation will be with it. Death, I have the exact date in my database, and it's coming in from Ancestry exact, the same thing I have in here. So I'm going to discard, but the citation will come in. And same, the burial, I have the actual cemetery in my database. The cemetery name won't come in from Ancestry. Now, I'm going to cancel this for the moment because I want to go back and look at that record that I was given. You don't see any information about Elizabeth, although the web merge did have information about Elizabeth. So this is why I like using this feature from an index from Ancestry.com. I'm going to get more information than what I see on my screen. So here's where it's super important to, I'm going to bring that in. I'm redoing the merge again because I wanted to show you, I could have showed it to you this way. So I'm going to bring, sorry about the repeat, but I'm going to bring in the alternate date. That's the same, so I'm going to discard it. This is coming in without the cemetery. And let me just show you that since I can. You see it has the cemetery name and the location of the cemetery. That's what's coming in. The cemetery name is not coming in. I'm going to bring it in and I will clean it up later. I click next and I'm going to merge these two. As I did before, alternate, I want to discard. I'm going to discard because I already have it. I'm going to bring it in as alternate. This has the location I have in my database, the cemetery. I'm going to bring it in. We'll clean it up later. Next, William H. It's the same person. I'm going to merge it. And can discard the name because it's exactly the same. Birth is exactly the same. Death is exactly the same. Now, I don't have the cemetery name. So I can discard what's coming in from Ancestry and I will keep the citation. I click next. Lizzie. Now, because I already had merged it, she is here. When I did it the first time, Lizzie was not here, so I added her. So in this case, I'm going to merge her because I didn't know about Lizzie until I did this early in the day. So now I'm going to clean up and see what I'm going to bring in. I want to discard what's coming in. I'm going to discard what's coming in. Birth date is different in my database versus what's coming in from the Ancestry record. I'm going to make it alternative. Death, 1951. Death, 1888. There's something fishy going on here, folks. I've got to have to deal with it. I don't want to get rid of the data. I will have to clean it up. I believe that this date really belongs to his second wife, not Lizzie, in my database. So I believe my database is wrong. We'll see when I get done. And 1899, there's two death dates. Again, I believe that there's something wrong in my database. I'm going to bring it in because I don't want to lose it. And there is the location, no cemetery name. We don't see anything but Lizzie, the name here, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. All it says is Lizzie. The nice thing is, and when I do this merge, it's looking at Lizzie's record. Remember, this is a link. It's pulling in data from that record on Ancestry. So I'm going to click next because I'm going to discard. Dates are different. Next, Edward H. So I'm going to merge those two. And by the way, when I did this the first time, I did not have Edward. Edward was not in my database, so I can discard that. I can discard that. I can discard that. I can discard that because I'm bringing in what I already have in my database because I added Edward the first time. I will go quicker through this. I won't spend as much time because, again, I already did this merge, but I'm just pointing out why I like to do the merge. Alternate name, I had in my database his full name. You'll see I did not have his full name when I first brought this in because I learned something when I did this merge. It's not in my record, in my file. I have his full birth date and birth location. What's coming in from the index is just the year. I want to capture that because I'll make it about 1894. His death date, same thing. I want to capture it because I want to know that when you go back and look this record for Edward H., that you see the same thing that I'm seeing, but I'd have to click on that hyperlink. That's where he's buried, and I click next. So now I'm ready to merge. I would normally click merge. I'm not going to do that because I already merged it. My whole point here was to say that what I'm seeing in the index, I'm getting more in the web merge than what I get in the index. Now I'm going to click on Lizzie here, and this will take me to her Find a Grave record. And in fact, here is that data. She's buried in a different cemetery, but it is shame picking up her spouse. But look what it also picks up. So I will do the same thing for Harvey. Now let me go back to the people workspace. If you remember, when I brought this in earlier for Jacob, I had Jacob W. Ort, but that record that I just brought in had whack, because that's what the Harvey S's what Lizzie's birth name is. I have not corrected it yet, so I'm going to do that right now, because this is what I would do after the merge. The merge said it was Lizzie Ort. But if I look at the Find a Grave record, her father is Whack. So I'm going to come into the people workspace and create a name fact for her. And Lizzie. And there is my citation. I already cleaned it up. So there's my citation. I'm going to copy that and put it down here. And I'm going to right click and set this name as preferred, because that is her birth surname. What I'm also going to do is add a note. I like the bullets, so I'm going to put the date. Marked as preferred as the Find a Grave index reflects her parents' name. So that's why that's why I like the feature. I didn't have to go very far to find out what her, I was lucky, but I found her birth surname. So that isn't my current thinking, is that her birth surname was W-A-C-K. I may find other records later that she may or may not have a middle name. Don't know that. But what I am going to do is as I pointed out, I use the about date for when I don't have the complete date. And I have another one. And I have another one. Now this is where I have conflicting information. If I look at the index from Find a Grave, it says that she was 1899. But I already had it in my database, and I can find out where I got it from Find a Grave. This is where I believe Find a Grave, in fact, gave me Harvey's other wife's death date. And she is, this says about, I'm sorry, that's not right, that's him. Kate died. I don't have a death date for her. So I've got some conflicting information going on here, but it'll be easy to resolve. And I can't make a change here, but since I'm going to, the Find a Grave index tells me 1899. So I'm going to mark that as preferred. And I'm going to put a note. about why I think it is the preferred date. Think that the 1951 death date belongs to other spouse. Because what I think has happened is that she died and he remarried. And let's see if that's true. I go to Harvey and I look down here, and his marriage to Kate was 1892. I still have issues here, don't I? So I will resolve them with other records. I believe that probably this marriage date is actually Lizzie, and I picked that up on a census, two census records. I believe that I'm going to find that this date is really Lizzie and not Kate, because of the question and the way it was asked on the census record. So while I'm here, I'm going to have another to-do list. I'm going to say verify marriage date. I have a category for conflicts, conflicting information, and I click OK. I'm not going to go follow that right now. Oh, look what I already had. I had a question. Was Harvey S. Oort married twice? I just answered that question, but I'm going to leave it the way it is until I can resolve both questions, because it's the same question. I just had recognized that earlier. Let's look at one more thing here, and then I'll end this. If I look at the dates of when the children were born, I've got some issues to fix the children. I believe that this Edward really belongs up here with Kate, and I believe that Jacob belongs with Lizzie. I have to find a record that helps me with that, but if I look at the dates, and this marriage date is already in question, so I've got issues. While I'm here, I'm just going to make out verify. Conflicting dates, verify the correct spouse for all of the children. Now, the good news is, and this I will follow up with this later, the good news is that I in fact went to the cemetery and I took pictures of the headstones. And I believe that with those images from my going to the cemetery, that I'm going to be able to resolve that conflicting information. And there may be another surprise in there as well. But again, the point for this long drawn out video is this index from Find a Grave has a lot of hidden stuff when you use the web merge feature in Family Tree Maker that will be helpful. It is helpful. Yes, you may have some information that you need to resolve. And one of the reasons why I had to do this is when I talked to my daughter about this project, she says, you're going to find the name WAC in there someplace. She knew, well, she works for this family. She said, you're going to find WAC in there someplace. And again, when I did, Jacob is, his middle name is WAC, which helps me get confirmed that there's another marriage here, and that second person's name is the wife is going to be whack. So I hope that's confusing. Not confusing, but it's something to consider using the Ancestry.com Find a Grave Index and use the web merge feature. If I had just entered the data right from Find a Grave, I would have missed some helpful information. I didn't know the other cemetery. In fact, what I did today was visited 3 cemeteries. I have about 80 pictures that will be added to this file, but I'll talk about them in another video. But again, the intent was consider using a shaky leaf hint from Family Tree Maker that points to the Ancestry.com Find a Grave Index. At another time, I will, and I've already done this a couple of times already, how I document and how I use the data from the Find a Grave website itself, including the web clipper feature, in case you're trying to remember what I'm talking about. Anyhow, sorry for being so long-winded. Just a couple points that I wanted to make. Okay, have a great day. Thank you.